Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. We're taking a look at another Rider Kicks figure from Kamen Rider Saber. This is the Mode Change RKF Kamen Rider Blades King Lion DaiSenki. So this is his new form, and it actually can transform into the lion, which is pretty cool. Soto did not do that, just saying. I really feel like RKF has been stepping it up this year. Over here on the side, you can see you have the two forms, the lion mode and human mode, night mode, whatever you want to call it for lack of a better term. And then on this side we have the little timeline, which at this point is now just all Saber figures. And then on the back it shows you how to transform it. I'm assuming there are actually no instructions in the box, so this is probably all that we're going to get. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, pretty standard packaging. I like that they got rid of the flaps. I think it looks a lot sharper now that they're just these rectangles. But I'm going to go ahead, get them out of the box, and we're going to take a closer look. Here is King Lion DaiSenki out of the packaging. And I do really like the two different color blues together. Unfortunately, as you can see, mine's a bit of a floppy mess. For whatever reason, the hips are kind of loose on mine, and the torso ball joint is kind of really loose as well. But I do really like the metallic paint. You have a mostly navy blue color scheme with this kind of metallic cobalt blue, which I do think looks pretty sharp. I like the helmet design. I think that looks pretty cool as well. Now this has kind of a big hinge here, and that's because of the lion transformation. And then it does have a swivel side to side. So not the ball joint that we're used to. You have a hinge, very exaggerated hinge and swivel there. Then he's got these cannon pieces here on the shoulders. You can kind of tilt them back out of the way if you want when he's not using them. I kind of like that look because it almost kind of makes it look like they're exhaust or something, like if he's running fast, or maybe some kind of like jets or possibly like swords or something like that on the back. I just kind of like the look of them back there like that. You have the lion face here on the chest, which looks pretty good. You have these kind of main pieces here that are on a little bit of a hinge so that you can get to the shoulder if you want, and they don't hinder articulation at all. But then you have another hinge here for the shoulder pad, and then you have a kind of hinge slash ball joint in the actual shoulder joint itself. As you can see, there's a lot of play there, and you can hinge that up. You have a bicep swivel. You have 90 degrees in the elbow. You have a wrist swivel. Now you actually don't get different hands this time. So this one is just kind of holding the lion booster. So you don't have any different hands there. I guess you could use some from a previous release if you wanted to, because I think they're all pretty uniform. But no extra hands this time around. Over here he's just got an open hand so he can hold the sword. He's also got these paw pieces, which you'll see that come into play for the lion transformation. And then, like I said, it's just really loose here. And you can see this piece is already falling off. These just peg onto these kind of L pegs back here. And they peg on easily enough. And they usually hold decently, but unfortunately it's a really loose joint. And as you kind of move this around, they kind of hit, and then they just kind of fall off. So I'm just going to take them off for now because honestly they're kind of more trouble than they're worth. And then you do have the book here in the driver. And you do get a second version of the driver with the sword. So you can just swap those out if you like. It just unpegs very easily. And then you just peg the other version on if you want. I'm just going to put this one back on. So you just easily peg one on, pull one off, peg the other one on. You've got a hinge here for the skirt pieces. And then, like I said, unfortunately, mine are a little loose. This really swivels, but you can move it out of the way a little bit if you need to. So you have kind of a loose ball joint there. No thigh swivel, but it just kind of rocks around on the ball joint there. And then it's just really loose, unfortunately. And then you have knees that bend both ways, and that's because of the lion transformation. And then you have a ball joint down there in the ankles. So I think he looks pretty good. Unfortunately, he's just a bit of a floppy mess. He does have a hinge here that has the tail on it. So you have a hinge over his butt as well. So he's got quite the wraparound skirt. But yeah, unfortunately, just the loose hips and the loose torso joint is just kind of a bummer. But otherwise, I think he looks pretty good. I mean, and it's not like he can't hold a pose. You can get him to stand and he won't fall over. And I do like the design, and I definitely like the color scheme. I think that looks really sharp. And he does come with his sword. Has a little bit of silver paint there. Otherwise, mostly navy blue. We can go ahead and put his sword in his hand, and he holds it very well. So overall, I think he looks good. I think his articulation is good. It's just that some of the joints are loose. But the amount of articulation, I think, is pretty good. As far as the back goes, not really too much paint going on in the back, but pretty par for the course for RKFs these days. Now let's go ahead and let's get into the lion transformation, because I'll be honest with you, it's not great. But they, I guess, tried. So you flip these around to cover the hands, and then you're just going to bend these forward, like so. And then the visor flips up, and then you're going to put that head all the way back on that hinge, and then you're going to lift up this section, and then that kind of fills in that space. And that's really it. And I wish there was some way something here snapped together or pegged in or something, because this just doesn't, I don't know, something's just not right about this. And maybe it's something I have to, because at first I thought it was supposed to go all the way up over here like this, but that's too much. On the back of the box, it kind of shows it about there-ish. But also you have, because of the way this kind of jets out on the side, like that kind of doesn't fill this space perfectly, if that makes any sense. So you can see you're just kind of left with all this dead space. And it just doesn't really work. I don't know. It's just, it could have been done a lot better in my opinion. Like if you look at it like this real quick, okay, that looks okay. But then you look at it, you know, from above, and it's just, I don't know, something could have been done here. Something could have been done a little better. And maybe I'm doing it incorrectly. I mean, that's a possibility. But I kind of don't think so. Maybe that's a little better. Maybe something like that. That's a little better. So you get it lined up as best you can, and then you just kind of have, you know, the lion here. And you're supposed to put these pieces on the back, I guess, just to give them kind of more of a lion, you know, body shape. I don't even really know. I don't really know what purpose these pieces serve. They really just kind of get in the way and fall off a lot, but I guess that kind of gives more of like a cat's natural body shape, so I think that's what they're going for there. I will say, to their credit, you can slide the sword into the lion's mouth. I really didn't think that was going to be possible. I did not think that was going to work, so I will give them that at least. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Soto was wise to not even bother trying to tackle this. It's very possible. Because this is okay at best. I mean, it's really not great. It's not executed super great. Like I said, I do appreciate that the lion can hold the sword in its mouth. And I guess I've got the head there as good as I'm going to get it, but and you kind of flip out the mane as much as you like. It's not great. I mean, it's okay. It's not great. And unfortunately, I think because of the transformation, it makes some of the joints a little floppier. Although, to be fair, I mean, the hips and the torso don't really need to be floppy to pull off this configuration, so. I mean, I do kind of like the tail. I do kind of think the way they did the skirt is kind of neat, because it kind of gives like a little bit of definition. Yeah, I don't know. The more I look at it, the more it's growing on me. Oh, and of course you can angle these forward to give them some cannons. I really think if they could have done a little bit better, and I finally got into a configuration that's not terrible, but if they could have had a way for this to kind of like lock in place and then have this kind of peg into it so that this was a little bit more solid in this area, I think this would be a little bit more successful. But as it stands, it's not terrible. I just think it could be a little better. But it is growing on me. Honestly, it is kind of growing on me a little bit. So King Lion DaiSenki is very middle ground. He's not great. He's not terrible. He's just very meh. Like I said previously, RKF has really been crushing it this year, and unfortunately for this guy, that means he has a lot of tough competition. I really enjoyed the Dragonic Knight set. I really enjoyed what they did for Caliber and Jowl Dragon, the two different transformations there. All the other figures have been pretty good. The weapons have actually been painted. They've been doing a lot of nice stuff this year, and I appreciate them trying. Because, like I said, Soto didn't even try. They just wanted to make a solid figure with nice paint and stickers and everything. And hey, maybe that was the way to go because what we have here is, not perfect. But they did try to pull off the transformation. And I will say, if you can get it in a good pose, it looks decent in lion mode. They just wish they would have done something with the head and chest area because you just kind of rotate that up and try to put it together and fit it together as best you can, and it just doesn't work. If there was some way to like tilt the head back and clip that into place and then have the chest come up and lock into place on that, I think this would have been a little bit more successful. It just needs to be a little bit more solid in the like torso area for the lion, because honestly the arms and legs are fine. You have the little paws that flip up, and his feet already kind of have paws, and that works. And I do really like the tail on the back. Those two pieces on the back though, they look good in the lion mode because they kind of add to the curvature of the cat body, but in like knight mode or human mode, whatever you want to call it, they fall off way too easily. And this joint is really loose, and my hips are really loose, and I don't really know why, but it is a bummer because it makes them a little bit of a floppy mess. But I do really like the color scheme. Like I said, the points of articulation are good if they were just a little bit more solid. And I think the detailing and everything is good. The accessories are nice. Instead of these, I would have liked maybe some additional hands. I do like the addition of the driver with the sword in it. I think that's kind of neat. So I do like the accessories that we get. I would have just liked some extra hands, and I wish my joints were a little bit more solid. But he's okay. There's definitely figures in this line that are better. He's probably towards the lower end, but I think aesthetically he looks good. So if you just want to grab this and put it on your shelf, and you have the two shades of blue and the metallic cobalt accent color really rocking, I think he looks good. And I like the helmet design and everything. It's just some of the joints are a little loose, and the lion transformation is at best. But if you don't care about those things, then I say pick them up. Plus, it might only be mine. I mean, the loose joints might just be a QC issue, and yours could be fine, and I hope they are. And like I said, I do really appreciate that the sword actually fits in the lion's mouth, and it fits snugly. It's not going to fall out. It really feeds into his mouth and stays in there very well. So there are a couple things they did right and a couple things they did wrong, and that kind of leaves him in the middle of the road. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.